Hey guys, it is Dr. Roost from Delta Chiropractic Center, and we're going to talk about intervertebral discs today. We hear about people with slipped discs and swollen discs and disc prolapses, and there's many varieties of disc issues that can cause problems. Now, the disc between a vertebrae, just anatomically, is a cartilaginous, fibrous space between the hard vertebrae. And that disc has a couple different parts that are important to talk about. But one thing to understand is that the disc is actually stronger and tougher than the bone is below it and above it. If you have an accident, you're more likely to break a bone than you are to break the disc. So that's kind of interesting. Let me give you a little more anatomy of the disc. The disc is made up of two main parts. One is a fibrous, as I mentioned before, a fibrous ring around the outside. And I'm using a punchki as a demonstration because the punchki has a couple similar parts. It's got an outside part and then a jelly inside, just like the disc does. The disc has this fibrous, tough, strong material on the outside filled with, in the middle, a jelly-like subject, which is called the nucleus pulposus. And that all works together to hold the vertebrae together above and below, act as a bit of a shock absorber, and allow motion because the fibers in the outside part are at kind of angles, and they allow the vertebrae to twist above and below, and the disc will give a little bit as it's doing that. All right, so that's a good, healthy disc. Fibrous outside, jelly inside, and it stays put, acts as a shock absorber, all good, the way God intended it. Now, what can happen over time is that fibrous outside part can start to break down and develop cracks that extend from the outside into the inside, or from the inside to the outside. When that happens, it weakens that fibrous part, and then when you put pressure on it, on that disc, it can start, and I haven't tested this to see how it works, but what will happen is if you push down and start putting pressure on that, the inside jelly part will start to push out. You can kind of see it coming out there. All right, so that's a little bit of a disc swelling, maybe even a disc prolapse. If that prolapse breaks off and floats around in the neural canal, that's a sequestra. That's okay. That's not a big deal unless that nucleus pulposus, that jelly part, happens to hit a nerve or push on a nerve or impinge on a nerve. Once that hits a nerve, then you start getting pain symptoms or numbness symptoms. It impacts the nerves, and that's not good. Now, a disc sounds like a horrible problem, and it can be. It can be very painful. It can cause things that are very serious, like loss of control of bladder or bowels. It can cause, if the nerve that is impacted, it affects the leg muscle, the leg muscle can actually atrophy and cause problems. It can cause numbness, and some of those things can be pretty serious. But the good news is a disc can heal. When we hear disc problems or prolapsed disc or slipped disc, we automatically think, oh man, I'm under the knife. I'm going for surgery. Not necessarily true because discs can heal. In fact, a lot of people have discs that are swollen or prolapsed with absolutely no symptoms for years and years and years. It's not a big deal because that's not hitting a nerve. All right, so a couple things. If they do decide that they have to do surgery, what they're going to do is go in through the back, try to make as small a hole as possible to get to that, and then they'll take a knife and they'll lop that sequestered part off, take it out so that it's not impacting the nerve again, and then we still have a cracked disc. We want that to heal. Now, most of the time, what causes a disc to fail like this is not a single incident. Sometimes a trauma can do it, but not usually. Usually it's years and years of what we call microtraumas. Microtraumas are particularly important when they involve twisting. That's why in our office we're constantly encouraging people to be careful with twisting. Twisting is hard on the low back. It degenerates the disc. And a consistent twist, like a misalignment in the spine that chiropractors find all the time and correct with adjustments, a consistent twist breaks down those fibers and leads to a weak wall where that disc, that nucleus pulposus, can leak out and start causing trouble. So that's why regular adjustments are important. So you can keep the twisting in your spine minimized and it doesn't break down the disc. Let's see, healing a disc requires Low impact activities, no running, jogging, jumping, things like that. That just is pounding on this already fragile disc, this disc that has cracks in it. It also requires regular adjustments so that you keep the spine aligned above and below. It eliminates that chronic twist in the disc, causing more trauma and breakdown of the cracking of the disc, outer annular portion of the disc. So low impact exercises, regular adjustments, doing exercises that will specifically balance the muscles along the spine to protect that part of the spine. Those have to be very precisely prescribed by your chiropractor. And then sometimes they'll do a traction or distraction machine that pulls the spine apart. And you can picture, if I could grab this and pull this apart, it would suck that disc back into there. And that's the idea with traction. And sometimes that can help. But you still got to let those cracks heal. And that takes time. Discs are slow to heal. It takes time. Get adjusted regularly. Do your exercises. Low impact. Be careful with twisting. Those are the big deals with twisting. So that's disc health. That's disc care. And it's disc hope. Because just because you have a disc swollen or even prolapsed does not mean that you have to go under the knife. Discs can heal. Surgery should be your last resort. Because anytime you lop off that material, if the problem's still there, it's going to happen again, likely. And the more of that material you lop off, the less disc is left behind, and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner, and there's less room for the nerves to be healthy in. So spine surgery, always a last resort. Get adjusted, do your exercises, do some physical therapy. Last resort is surgery. Let's see, if you have any questions, make sure you contact us. 321-3030 is our office number, or delta-chiro.com is our website. Happy to answer questions. Keep your discs healthy. I'm not a big fan of punchkis, but I'm not going to let this go to waste. So, talk to you later. I'll stick with donuts. Bye.